Hello, I am Joshua at Joshua's Recordings. Today we are going to take a look at this Pioneer receiver. This is a Pioneer DEH-x3600UI. This receiver offers a CD player, WMA MP3 playback, a USB port, which also offers WMA and MP3 and wave playback. So you can listen to audio file grade files on this thing, but only up to 48 kilohertz. You have your, this has a removable faceplate, as you can see there. That's what it looks like with it removed. I do like the pins on this one. As you can see, they're enclosed, so you can't damage them as easily as some other receivers. There you can see your CD slot up there. Has a nice little filter. It's relatively nice feeling plastic compared to some of them. The faceplate is also very heavy compared to the Kenwoods. So it's very, very nice. Let me turn it on, and as I talk about it, you can see the demo. So it also, as you can see, has multicolor illumination, as you can see. It has actually a two front and rear, or front and subwoofer preout. So you have two pairs of preout outputs on this radio, which is very, very impressive comparatively speaking to radios in this price range, which normally only offer one. As you can see, it has RDS. It is supported by. It also supports Pandora. It is very, very nice compared to the other units in from Pioneer that cost about this much. The other units weren't very customizable, and they were kind of annoying actually in some aspects, even though they were really good units, because Pioneer does make a really good unit. But they weren't very customizable, and well, the colors were always very customizable, but you know, your sound settings and where it really counts, the display and all that kind of stuff, weren't very customizable. This one, on the other hand, is very customizable in that aspect, and not only that it has all these colors, but some of the sound features, which we'll get into later. My only downside about this radio is you can see how bright this mix button is comparatively speaking to all the other lights and buttons on this radio, which is actually kind of annoying. So yeah, it does have advanced sound retriever, which it doesn't really do much, and it just told you my secrets. It has a 5-band equalizer, which is like unheard of with a receiver in this price range. So, without further ado, let's turn it on. As you can see, it starts out at around volume 27, and then you can just turn it down, which we'll do now. As you can see, that bar at the bottom is showing you your volume, which is pretty neat. And if we let the volume go away right now, it'll show you how strong your signal is that you're tuned into, which is also very nice. It comes default with this scan feature, which is actually kind of annoying. So let's get into the menu and see what we can do there. Under function, we have BSM, local, which is basically your local stations and all that kind of stuff. Seek, which you can set to manual or preset channel. And that's all that's under your function. Under audio is where we get interesting. We get your fader. You know, every radio and its dog has this one. And even those cheap ones from eBay. Balance, so you can go right, left, and EQ settings. Now this is the cool part about this particular radio. Let's press the center button. Default is powerful, which is interesting. We have super bass, and you can see the curve there. There's another cool feature about this little display here. It'll show you the curves of the equalizer presets. And we will go to custom. We have 2 custom presets you can do here. So say like you and someone else that you normally ride with, or someone else that drives the car, like 2 different types of presets. You can do that very nicely here, or just set up 2 for yourself with different. Like, for example, if you listen to different music that you like they set up differently. Right, we start out with 80 Hertz, which is, I would like it to be a little bit lower, but like I said, 5-band graphic equalizer is not very well known in this price range. So as you can see, it's -+6, which is also meh, but you know, not bad. And then we go up to 250, which is also kind of high. Comparatively speaking to that your lowest is 80, but you know, it's 5 bands, so you can't you just can't expect much. So then we have 800 hertz, 2.5 kilohertz, and 8 kilohertz. I'd like the 8 kilohertz to be a little bit higher, but like I said, I don't make these curves, so I mean, for some people they might like that. But as you can see, 5-band equalizer is something you don't normally see on these receivers. And also, I can show you as we adjust, like for example, if you turn 80 hertz up, 250 hertz, we'll turn that down a little bit, then turn 800 hertz down a little bit, and then we turn 2.5 up, and we'll turn 8 really high up. As you can see, it shows us a little curve there. Now, one thing you'll notice is when you go over here, the curves have many more bands than your preset ones. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but anyway, loudness. We got loudness low, mid, and high. Well, and we all know what loudness does. Subwoofer, you can normal or reverse or off. Subwoofer control. Now this is also pretty neat. You have a complete subwoofer crossover that goes only down to 63 hertz. Actually, no, sorry, 50 hertz. And you can cross up at a max frequency of 200 hertz. And we can do a reduction of -24 with either 12 or 24 dB per octave. Bass boost I don't recommend using unless you have really crappy speakers, because you can just do everything in the graphic equalizer. High pass filter setting. This is also really cool for a unit of this price range. You can set this up to either, high pass filter your speakers at 50, 63, 80 hertz, or 100, and so on, which is also really, really neat. And that is all in audio. That's also pretty neat. Illumination. This is pretty cool for people that want to match the color of their dash. Now, here's one of the things I like about the older Pioneer radios. We had more presets in the older ones. As you can see, we have white, red, amber, green, or blue, or scan. And that's all your presets. So on the older ones, you had a lot more presets to choose from, because not many people are actually going to want to go in here and go to the RGB values and, like, adjust it to exactly match your dash, because that's a pain. But one of the things that I recommend doing is finding a preset you sort of like, that sort of matches your dash, like say this, and then adjusting it to match your dash exactly. So, yeah. And you can do this for either the key or the display. As you can see, the display can be completely custom than the key. Or you could just do both. And you can do scan, white, red, amber, green, blue, scan. Now the problem with this is you cannot have a custom both, which is kind of weird, because then you have to enter the RGB value in for both, which kind of weird, Pioneer. Anyway, system. Under the system menu, we got clock set is your first thing. So remember that if you want to set the clock, it is press the center button, go down to system, clock set, and you can set the clock up here just like you would on any other radio. And there's your clock. You can set your time format, which is really kind of neat. If you want 24-hour time, which some people, well, actually, this one of the reviewers said was completely unnecessary because no one uses 24-hour time. I call BS, but anyway, as you can see, you can do 12 hours or 24, which is a nice touch. Info display. This is where that little display down there that keeps making weird animations as I scroll through. Anyway, info display, you can do a spectrum analyzer, a level meter, source, as you can see, it says the source name down there, or a clock, and you can see there's the clock display down there. Or you can just turn it off if you don't like flashing lights, which I can completely understand, but I sort of like the spectrum analyzer, so we'll leave it on that. Okay, and we got auxiliary on and dimmer, which, as you can see, dims the display. Brightness of the display, which is also kind of neat if you just want to dim it all the way down and then turn your dimmer on, which doesn't do anything because the brightness is all the way down. But still, you got 5 brightness levels, which is also very unique for a radio in this price range. And then demo off. And that is everything under system. And then you have mix track. You get short playback, 1 minute, 1.5, 3 minutes, off, whatever. flash area. Flash pattern. Display FX. Cut in FX. You know, so, you know, if you want to mess with mix track, go ahead, but, you know, it's just a gimmicky feature. That doesn't really do much for you. Well, let's put in a CD, and we'll show you that. As you can see, it does flash, which is kind of annoying. It'll say format read, which I think is kind of cool. Also, this displays more characters than the previous models, so that's kind of neat. Show you track information. It does scroll kind of fast. You're gonna have to get used to that. And so you can do display, elapsed time, clock, track information, which it'll show you the track name, and it'll also show you the artist, and elapsed time, it'll show you how long you've been playing that track, and clock, which just shows you the clock and the source name, which is a nice touch. The older ones would only show you either the clock and that's it, so kind of very nice touch. Or you can show a spectrum analyzer, a very, very inaccurate spectrum analyzer, but still, it's interesting if you like flashing lights, which I don't. So I leave it on track information, or elapsed time, because that's kind of fun to watch too. So yeah, so that is that. One thing I can never get in trouble for is to play these frequencies here. So yep, there you go. It's a very nice advanced unit, and if right after, well, very soon, I will show you the USB playback right as soon as I go inside and grab my USB stick. And as you can see, when it switches tracks, which I'll show you in the next couple of seconds, it will display the track number. So as you can see right there, which is also kind of nice. So there you go. And if you eject the CDs, it does flash like that, which I am not a fan of, like I previously said, but hey, it's okay. This radio does not have that many flashing lights, which is a good thing. I'm not a huge fan of flashing lights, because it looks gimmicky and cheesy. And that's the only thing about this radio I love. It looks very, very nice. It's a very nice, plain-looking radio. It looks like a radio, not like a, I don't know, like a piece of junk from China. And that's kind of, that's another thing I like about it. So I'll show you the USB playback in just a second. Alright, so I decided to do the USB media playback a little bit later because my first one wasn't very good and I didn't have every kind of media that this thing can play on my little USB stick. So let's plug this thing in and see what this thing can do. So I'll plug it in and it automatically switches over to USB and it'll start reading it. And it's really, really quick, as you can see. And it immediately starts playing whatever you got on there. Now this does not have ID3 on it, so it's not going to display any name. But anyway, as you can see, it's working just fine. On your display, you got your file info, which will actually show you the name of the file. Or you can display elapsed time, or you can display your clock, or like I've shown in a couple of videos ago, but really inaccurate spectrum analyzer. So now let's show off what it can play. So if we go into folder list, we have all my royalty-free stuff. Here's MP3. Let's play an MP3 file. And it'll tell you the name of the track. There's the name of the track, and it'll show you the artist's name, and then it'll show you the album. So, and then if we go back into folder, we can play, I'm going to play now, I believe that this is variable bitrate MP3. So here's a variable bit MP3 file. As you can see, it plays that just fine. And then, let's play a different kind of file. We're going to play Wave. And this is a PCM, as you can see, Wave file. And it even supports your ID tags for Wave, which not all players do. As you can see, it is playing this Wave file just fine. And we'll even just play another one just for the heck of it. As you can see, it's playing them all just fine. So there is your file playback, and then I just showed you every kind of file that this thing can play. And as you can see, it'll show you the name of the folder that the file is in first, and then it'll show you the track information. As you can see, there's that touch analyzer at work, which isn't that bad. Alright, now what happens if you pull out the USB drive while it's playing? It just turns the radio off. No beeps, no nothing. So, very, very nice design there. And we can even flip this little thing closed, and you can even see that little outline there, which could be helpful if you are in the dark. So, final word on this radio. Should you buy it? If you can get it for as cheap as I got it, absolutely. I paid $40 for that radio. But even if you can only get it for 60 or 70 or 80 or the MSRP of 100, it still is a very, very good radio for the price. Actually, it's going to be very, very hard for you to come across another radio by any other manufacturer besides Pioneer that offers the same amount of features as this radio does. I mean, it looks like it should be sold for twice its value, like 140 or maybe even 200. But no, it is a very, very inexpensive radio. And like I showed before, it even has some nice features like behind the faceplate. You got your everything is nicely in there, and the back of the faceplate, which I actually didn't show you yet. Very nice. It's a very nice faceplate, and I wish you could feel how heavy this thing is. It's not a cheap faceplate. I had a Kenwood that cost, I should do the video about it, it cost around 120, and the faceplate isn't as nice as the one on this radio. Pioneer is known for giving a lot for the money. So it's also pretty cool. It fades in when you put the faceplate back on. So there you go. If you can get this radio for as cheap as I did, go for it. Even if you can't, still go for it. If you want a really nice radio that's completely customizable and really is a really good deal, this thing's amazing. I've been using it in this is actually a speaker cabinet, and there's actually 2 Eminence woofers in there, right? And that thing has been surviving very well. I'll turn that thing all the way up, and you can hear everything like shaking in that radio. And I've been using it for a couple months now, and it's been surviving just fine. So if you can get this thing as cheaply as I did, even if you can't, go for it. It's an absolute bargain of a radio.
This is the end, I know. Yeah.